This video is sponsored by the HOFA Song Contest, organized by HOFA College, Germany's most popular online academy for audio engineering and music production. HOFA courses are offered in both German and English. For the HOFA Song Contest, submit your own original song for a chance to win prizes valued at over 20,000 euros. There will be a main prize awarded by HOFA in each of the 6 categories. In addition, special prizes will be awarded by Steinberg, Native Instruments, Focusrite, Atom, and many others. The contest starts on June 1st, 2020 and closes on August 3rd. You can find more information at hofa-contest.com. I'll leave a link to the contest in the video description and the comments below. Hey everyone, this is MusicTechHelpGuy. In this video, I'll show you 2 methods to creating pitched or tuned 808s in Logic Pro 10. In particular, I think these are probably the easiest and simplest ways to make 808s in Logic because it doesn't require any samples or any third-party instruments to do this whatsoever. You can simply do this with Drum Synth, which was released with the Logic 10.5 update, and Step Sequencer is actually not even required for the first method. So I've got sort of like a basic trap beat here with a synth and some chords just as like a sort of like a background sound effect. And then if I add my 808s in, sounds like this. So the first thing you need to do is create a new software instrument. And then on that software instrument, you're just going to load up Drum Synth. So I'll load that up in stereo. Now, conveniently enough, the stock patch in Drum Synth, it's an 808 style kick. And you have some different controls that you can use to shape the tone the way you want. There's a pitch knob, which is going to come in helpful for the third method. But one of the things that's really cool about Drum Synth is that most of the instruments allow for this key tracking option and also allow you to choose between monophonic, polyphonic, and gate mode. So by default, it puts this on monophonic and key tracking on. The reason why you want key tracking on is you can actually use your MIDI controller to just play in these notes. With key tracking off, the pitch of each 808 will be exactly the same. With key tracking on, Drum Synth splits up the pitch of the 808 chromatically. So now you can just play the 808s like any other instrument. You also want to make sure that this is in monophonic mode because if this is in polyphonic mode, the 808s will overlap. So you don't want to be playing 808s like chords. You want the tail end of one 808 to cut off the previous 808. So you're only hearing one bass note at a time. So Drum Synth makes it incredibly easy to just get the sound. And then you can go through and adjust the tone and the saturation and the shape and all these other controls to dial in a tone that you like, but actually getting these into the music could be as simple as just playing them in piano roll. But if you're trying to get away from piano roll editing, or maybe you're not so great at working with a MIDI controller, or maybe you just don't have a MIDI controller and you need to do this with your mouse, there's some other methods that work pretty well, and using the step sequencer is particularly helpful. So what I'm going to do is right-click and create a new pattern region rather than a MIDI region. And what this does is it gives you just a single note, is what it does. G1. It's the root note of the 808 is G1. What I like to do is I like to look at my drum beat and sort of follow the rhythm of the kick. And the 808 doesn't have to be there for every single kick. What I'm thinking is boom, 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 and then rest, boom, 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 ba-boom, right? So just maybe 3 notes over here, 5 notes over here. So let me go back to my 808 pattern here, and I'll just type in 16th notes to follow the original kick pattern. Now, that pattern is 64 steps long, so I'm going to change this to 64 steps over here. I don't want these. I do want these, but I don't want these. And then there was that boom, 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 boom at the end. So let's see what this sounds like now. So that's all one note. That's all on one row in the step sequencer. What if you want these to be different notes? Well, what you can do is you can create different note rows for each of these. Now, going through and manually selecting each note to create a row out of it it's going to be a huge pain in the ass. So don't even bother trying that. There's another option I'll show you that you can use, and it's called Learn Mode, and it allows you to learn just the notes that you want to use and create rows for them in the step sequencer. So you can just click here, or you can press Option Command L to turn on Learn Mode, and then just type in the notes that you want to use on your MIDI controller. So G1 was already there, C#2, A#1, D1, and D#2. So now I can take that rhythm that's up on the top row here, and I can move it around to sort of encompass some of these other notes. Also, I should hit Option Command L again to turn off Learn Mode, so don't accidentally trigger any more notes. Now, the thing about the step sequencer is, unlike piano roll, it doesn't necessarily prioritize or create like a hierarchy for pitch. It just puts the rows in the order that you learned them. Now, one other way to do this, if you don't have a MIDI controller, is you can learn the notes using your typing keyboard. By the way, Command Delete will delete note rows. There we go. And then what I'll do is I'll hit Command K to pull up my typing keyboard, find the notes that I actually want to use here. If you turn on Learn Mode and then type in those notes, it will learn those from the musical typing keyboard. So you can bring up the musical typing keyboard, play around with an 808 idea that you want on your laptop if you don't have a MIDI controller, find just the notes that you want to use, and then learn them as rows, note rows in the step sequencer. And then you can just go in and do the same thing I just did to create a 808 pattern that works for you. So that's one method. I think that's probably the easiest method. It's especially easy when you have a MIDI controller and you can just learn in those notes. And then the other thing is, like, if you really want to convert this over to piano roll, you can always just right click on your pattern region here, and you can just convert this over to a MIDI region, or press Control Option Command M, and then you can edit this in piano roll instead. But I understand not everyone is, super savvy with all the notes on the keyboard, and this sort of just condenses everything down to just the notes that you're using. So here I'm only using 5 notes, so I'm just seeing the notes that I'm actually using. So the second method involves using step automation to control the pitch knob in Drum Synth rather than triggering different notes. So again, I'll create a new pattern region, do the same thing I did before, mimic that same pattern, and then instead of using a melodic row or even using different note rows, I'm going to use an automation row. So you click here again, go to automation, and one of the options you'll see here is Drum Synth. So any software instrument you have loaded on that track, you can automate any of its parameters with step automation. And one of the parameters here is pitch. So the pitch option is going to be automating this knob here. Now, the thing is, if I type in automation steps for pitch, all that's doing is triggering automation. What you have to do is, that's just turning on automation essentially for each of those notes. What you also have to do is click here, show your automation value. Let me just zoom out a bit here, zoom in rather, and then adjust the automation value for that parameter. So if I wanted to go up 6 semitones, and then maybe 3 semitones, and then maybe down 4 semitones, then up 8 semitones, and then maybe up 6, I could do that as well. And the automation value is just going to trigger the pitch knob to move up and down, plus or positive or negative semitones based on the automation value that's down here. So that's 2 different methods of creating pitched or tuned 808s in Logic Pro 10 using the recent 10.5 update with Drum Synth and the step sequencer. Now, in particular, I like to do it by automating the pitch knob. That's my preferred way of doing it. But I think for most people, the first method I demonstrated will be the easiest and probably their preferred method. I'm just kind of weird with my workflow sometimes. Now, originally when I was making this video, the concept was going to be 3 different methods for creating 808s. I was going to do the first method and the second method, and then the third method was going to be using a melodic row in the step sequencer. So just in case someone brings that up, it is not helpful or easy to do at all with the melodic rows, because each of the melodic rows, what they do is they allow you to adjust the pitch of each step. But the problem with the melodic rows is you can only adjust 1 octave at a time. So if something falls outside of the octave of that step, then you have to go and change a separate sub row to change the octave. So things get a little bit hairy when you do things that way. So I ended up skipping that method altogether, although it is possible to do this with melodic rows. I honestly, as I was doing it for the video, I was like, this is a waste of time, so I didn't even bother including it in the video. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. Thanks for the support, and thanks for watching.